Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vasil Dikov. I am a senior account manager with GDMFX, and I will be bringing you today's market outlook. We'll start with the North American markets and the events from yesterday. The IV Purchasing Managers Index from Canada for March came out with 1.1 higher than previous at 57.9. The IV Purchasing Managers Index SA for March from Canada came with 4.9 points weaker than expected at 50.1. In the FOMC Minutes, there was a noticeable disagreement between members, as some would like to keep open the possibility for a hike in April, while others prefer more caution. The Fed once again affirmed the need to be data dependent as they look for a clear path to raising rates. Domestic data regarding employment and wage growth was cited as support for the Fed to move forward with normalization. Both the labor and housing markets indicated strength to the members. Net exports were cited in the minutes as one of the few factors currently weighing on U.S. growth. Inflation expectations for the committee remained in line as members generally shared their optimism for a return to the target over the medium to long run. The Dow was 6 points up yesterday, the Nasdaq was 55 points up, and the Dixie was down to 94.19 from 94.68. The biggest mover yesterday was the US dollar versus the Canadian dollar with 60 pips in the downwards direction, and the US dollar versus the Japanese yen 65 pips down, 85 pips down today. Today we'll be having the initial and continuing jobless claims, consumer credit change, and Janet Yellen is going to be giving out a speech. In Europe, the German industrial production for the month was 0.5% versus minus 0.8%, which was the expectations. The industrial production in Germany for the year was 1.3% versus 0.4%. That was the expectation. The Eurozone retail PMI was 49.2. The DAX 30 was 80 points up to 140. The CAC 40 was 60 points up. The euro was 140 pips down versus the Australian dollar, 50 pips down versus the New Zealand dollar, and the euro versus the British pound is on a major psychological area on a weekly and monthly charts and might reverse the quotation for the few weeks ahead. For the day, we're going to have French imports, exports, and trade balance, and in Switzerland, foreign CCR reserves. The ECB is also going to be giving out a speech. That will be Mario Draghi. In the UK, the sterling extended its losses versus the dollar for a second day, and it touched a low that has not been seen since 2014 versus the euro. The overall decline on the cable is currently at 4%. Many analysts are seeing the sterling drop down to $1.35 prior to the Brexit referendum in June, a level last seen in 2009 and before that in 1985. The FTSE 100 gained 17 points and closed at 6,126 yesterday. The pound was 200 pips down versus the Australian dollar, 130 pips down versus the New Zealand dollar, and 125 pips down versus the Japanese yen. Today we're going to have the Halifax house prices for the month and the Halifax house prices for the year. Moving onwards to Asia and more importantly Japan. The foreign bond investments were 2.1719.4 billion yen, less than the previous, which was at 1.555.1 billion. The foreign investment in Japanese stocks was 774 billion yen, weaker than the previous at 415.2 billion. The Bank of Japan Governor Kuroda said Thursday that the central bank would take additional monetary easing steps if needed to achieve its 2% inflation target, with an eye on the risks to the economy and prices. The foreign bank deputy governor Kazumasa Iwata said that the central bank will run up against the limits of bond purchasing by mid-next year, making the negative interest rates by the Bank of Japan key tool for monetary policy. The Nikkei 225 closed on a doji yesterday, and in the Pacific currencies movements were forced by external factors which were not related to domestic events in Australia and New Zealand. Moving on to the commodity section of the market. The Eia Crude Oil Stocks change. The US crude inventories fell 4.9 billion barrels in the week to April the 1st compared with expectations for an increase of 3.2 million barrels. Crude oil futures rose on a raft of supportive indicators on Thursday, although some traders warned that physical supply and demand fundamentals did not warrant a strong price recovery at this stage. Overnight gold fell slightly, erasing some of its gains for the previous session's surge as investors traded cautiously. Gold gained in Asia on Thursday after the Fed minutes showed tension on rate hike views. The S&P 500 index had a range of 26 points. It is at 2,058 right now. Gold had a range of $16 at 1,230 right now. It's going sideways for today. Silver had a range of 28 cents at $15.14. The crude oil had a $1.50 range up to 38.15 right now, and natural gas is trading at $1.88 at the moment with a range of 5 cents. Today we're going to have the EIA natural gas storage change, and on Friday the Baker Hughes oil rig count. That is all from me. Thank you and have a nice day.